Okay, so we've been working on rational equations. Sorry for that noise in the background. We've been doing that for the last few days, and so what we want to do now is be able to do a few application problems. So what I want you to think of is this. When you're doing these rate of work problems, what it is somebody's doing a job along with somebody else, and you're trying to figure out how long it would take them together to do a job. Let me give you a super simple example. Let's say that it takes me 2 hours to mow my own lawn, okay? And it takes my son 4 hours, okay? We're both really slow, or it's a really big yard, okay? Well, together, or join, that's what this means. So join together, we don't know how long it would take us, okay? Well, here's the deal. Even if we don't know how long it will take us, we know that we need to complete. And the reason we write these as fractions is we need to complete one whole job. So x over 2, whatever this is, how long ever we do it together, join divided by how long I can do it by myself, plus my son, how long we do it join divided by how long he can do it himself, that should equal the one whole job that we do. And the reason we do this, okay, or the way that we do this from here is we solve these equations. So hopefully you've practiced, you should have just above here, how to solve these equations. So I look at first my least common multiple. So my least common multiple, or least common, we'll call it the denominator here, since it is a denominator, is 4. Now if you forget that, Duncan, I'm not going to remember 4, I can't figure this out. You can always multiply 2 times 4, or whatever these are together, and that will be a common denominator. It's not the least, as a common denominator. And I'm going to multiply by it, just like you did in the previous problems and in the previous video. Well, if I do this, I get 4x over 2, because I'm just multiplying 4. This is like 4 over 1. 4 divided by 1 is 4. So I'm just multiplying the numerator by 4. Plus 4x over 4 equals 4. Well, this gives me 2x plus x equal 4. So I'm left with 3x equal 4 and divide by 3. So x is 1 1/3 hours. Now think about this. That makes sense. If I can do it myself in 2 hours and my son comes along and helps me, he's slower than me, but he helps me, it's not going to cut the time in half, but it'll cut it smaller. So that's the type of thing we're trying to do here. Now I'm going to give you a chart, and I would encourage you to learn this chart because this will help you to organize the material. Of course, you don't have to, but it would be very helpful. So here's how I'm going to order this chart. Okay, I'm going to order the chart by joined, so the joined versus alone. Okay, and then here is going to be the names of, in this case, most of our problems will just be two things or people. Okay. Okay, so we've got number 1. A deck of 320 punch cards can be read by one reader in 20 minutes. So this is reader 1. Okay, they can do this in 20 minutes. So that's alone, 20 minutes. Okay, a second reader can read the same deck in 12 minutes. So reader 2 can do this in 12 minutes. How many minutes would it take both readers working together to read a deck? By the way, all the answers are here at the end. So I'm not worried about the answers. I'm worried about the setup. I mean, we need to be able to figure out the answer, but I'm worried about the setup. So we would call this X and X because we don't know how long it'll take to do this together, but we know that however long it takes to do together, it's the same. Now here's why I do this chart. Here's the deal. X over 20 is my first fraction, kind of like when I was talking up here, plus x over 12 is my other fraction, and they should always equal one job. Okay? From here, we need our least common denominator of 20 and 12. Now again, you can do 20 times 12. That's 240. So a common denominator would be 240, and you will get the same answer. But I don't want that. I want the least common denominator. Now, if you look at 20 and 12 and you're not sure, that's, again, the 240 is fine. But when I look at this, what I'm going to think about is if I think of 20, I got 5 and 4. 12 is 3 and 4. So they have 4 in common, right? Okay, so 4 is in common. They don't have 5 or 3 in common. If I multiply all that together, that's going to give me my least common denominator. So what's in common, just list once. Everything not in common, you've got to list as well. 4 times 5 is 20, times 3 is 60. So 60 is my least common denominator. Now, you can multiply by 240. You will still get the same answer if you do your algebra right. But I'm going to use the least because I don't feel like doing the bigger numbers. So 60 times x is 60x over 20 plus 60x over 12 equals 60. The reason I do this is these should now reduce. I get 3x plus 5x equals 60. So 8x equals 60 and divide by 8. When I divide by 8, I should get 7.5 minutes. Okay? All right. So let's do 2 more. So you've got this one. So, and pause if you need to pause at any point. So if I do my table, all right. So example 2, how long would it take to process a deck of cards in example 1 if the first reader stopped working after 5 minutes? Okay. All right. So let's think about this one. All right. So the readers, is the time any difference? Well, no. So the time would be still 20 and 12. But the first reader is not going to work quite as long, right? So the first reader is actually going to do x minus 5, whereas this will work the entire time. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. If it stops working after 5 minutes, that means it worked for 5 minutes. So that would be 5, and the unknown is x. So how long would it take? Okay? So we've got 5 over 20 plus x over 12 equals 1. Well, 5 over 20 can actually reduce, and that'll make your life a little bit easier. That's 1/4. And my common denominator of 4 and 12, in case you would like my least common denominator, if you want my little trick again, 4, well, 12 is 4 and 3, so they have 4 in common. So 4 times 3, so 12, 4 times 3 would be my least common denominator. So I'm going to multiply everything by 12. So 12 over 4 plus 12x over 12 equals 12. Okay, well that becomes 12 over 4 is 3 plus x equals 12. Take away 3, x equals 9. So 9 minutes. Okay, so how long would it take to process a deck of cards in example 1 if the first reader stopped after 5 minutes? And the answer is 9 minutes. Okay, we're going to do 2 more. We might do the third one, or the 5th one, but we'll see. Okay, so right here, you've got one pipe can fill a tank. So we've got pipes, right? So pipe 1, pipe 2. This is joined, this is alone. Okay, so the first pipe can fill this in 5 hours, the second one in 3. Okay, how long would it take both pipes together, so x and x, to fill the tank 3/4 of the way? Now this one's weird because of this. I've been saying you always set it equal to 1, except when you don't, right? Okay, here's what I mean. Don't freak out. I want it 3/4, so I'm not doing the whole job. I'm doing 3/4 of the job, not the whole job. So from here, I've got to get my least common denominator. Again, you could do 5 times 3 times 4, which I think actually ends up being your least common denominator. But that will always work. Here's why it is that, is because 5 has no factors in common with 3 or 4. 3 has no common factors with 5 and 4, so on and so forth. So we really would just do 5 times 3 times 4, which I think we've already used, is 60. So I'm going to multiply everything by 60. Only the numerators. So I get 60x over 5 plus 60x over 3 equals 180 over 4. And the reason I do this is so it'll simplify. I get 12x plus 20x equals 4 will go into 18 4 times. So we get 32x equal 45. Now you'll notice that we wrote the answer as 45 over 32 hours. Okay, so that's my answer. X equal 45 over 32 hours. Now if you're like, Mr. Duncan, that's weird. It is. If you write the decimal though, it's going to be such a long decimal. So we just leave it 45 over 32. If it'll reduce nicely, fine. But that's going to be a little over, like a little less than an hour and a half. Okay. All right. Two more. Okay. So joined, alone. So Josh. Okay. Court. That's my brothers, by the way. There you go. Courtney and Josh. Okay. Josh can plow a field in 6 hours. Court can plow it in 4 hours. How long would it take Josh? Oh, sorry. I just started filling stuff out. Sorry. I have read poorly. Look what it says. I just started filling out. It says, if his brother Court helps him, it will take 4 hours. So the joined is 4. What we don't know, how long it would take Josh to do the job. Oh, it should say, sorry, I messed up. Court to do the job alone. So we don't know. Okay, so we know that 4 over 6, that's how long it will take Josh, or how much work he will do. Courtney, or Court, 4 over x, and it should equal a whole job. So our least common denominator here is a little weird. Look, it's 6 and x, or 6x. So we're going to multiply everything by 6x. Okay? So 6x times 4 is 24x. 6x times 4 is still 24x equals 6x. All right? So let's solve this. Well, 24x divided by 6 is 4x. 24x divided by x is 24 equals 6x. Take away 4x, take away 4x, you get 24 equals 2x. So x is 12 hours. 12 hours. Okay? All right. Last thing. Last one. So joint, alone. So you got Carl and Gomer. Okay. Okay. Carl can paint a house in 8 hours. That's alone. After he'd been working for 1 hour, his brother Gomer started helping him. Okay. It then took them 3 more hours to finish. So he had already been working 1 hour. This was a little tricky. And it took 3 more. So Carl, 1 hour, and then 3 more. It took Carl worked for 4 hours. Gomer only worked for 3 because he showed up and they worked for 3. Okay? So then, what we don't know is how long it'll take for Gomer to do the job by himself. So let's see. So 4 over 8 plus 3 over x equals 1 job. Well, the least common denominator, 8 times x, 8x. So I get 8 times 4, 32x over 8 plus 24x over x equal 8x. Well, these reduce, right? So you get 4x plus 24 equal 8x. Minus 4x minus 4x, I got 24 equal 4x. And then last step, divide by 4. So x equals 6. That's my 6 hours. Okay? So those are your notes. I don't want to keep you any longer. You should have those copied down when I come in on the next day, because I'm going to be, yeah, when you come in, and then we'll go over those problems. Okay? And we'll practice some more the next day. All right? Okay. Have a good day.